Now we are going to be informed, entertained, and given some background on Reggae Sumfest. And this will be done in great detail, I might say, by the panel that we have to my right. We're going to be using a narrative interspersed with a video production that you see here on the screen. I will be chairing the panel doing minimal duties. I'm Dr. Donna Hope, and to my right, this is Stefan, who is the man who has put together the PowerPoint, the video for us. And we are being treated to a fabulous panel. We actually have Sumfest in the house. We have original shareholders of Sumfest. We have to my right, besides Stefan, we have Mr. Nathan Robb, who is an original shareholder of Sumfest, the original people who developed Sumfest, and a former director of Sumfest. And beside him, someone that many of us know, Mr. Johnny Gourzong, who is the current executive director of Sumfest, and also an original shareholder. And beside Johnny, we have Miss Tina Davis, who does everything, you know, a lot of the work behind the scenes to pull Sumfest together. She's the festival manager. Yes, she does a lot of the work to pull the festival together as you see it. And then beside her, we have Joe Hilton, the director, and Hugh Thompson, director. And of course, we are going to be treated to the underpinnings and the story behind Sumfest and what we see and understand to be Sumfest. The presentation is titled Uprising, a Reggae Sumfest Story, and I'm going to hand over to Mr. Nathan Robb, who will take us through the proceedings. Thank you.
I always have this problem where mics are usually adjusted for abnormal people, and I like to consider myself normal, so I always have this problem. Dr. Hope, members of the organizing committee, fellow conference attendees, it is indeed my pleasure to be here sharing with you a Sumfest story. Specifically a Sumfest story because this is not necessarily the Sumfest story, but it's a story. And we're quite happy to participate with the university in this conference. It is our view, and has always been, that reggae is an essential part of Jamaica, the Jamaican culture and life, and therefore anything that advances the cause of reggae, Summerfest will continue to be part, and that has been our position from day one. Later on, I'll just introduce it to you, but the motto from the outset was promoting music, the universal force. From day one, that's been the motto. You'll hear more about that when Johnny comes. So, let me just say straight off, I am an ordinary shareholder. And I want to emphasize ordinary in the sense that we're just ordinary people. Even before John Legend thought about it, we were ordinary people. And we started Sumfest when Sunsplash, after years, left Montego Bay. Now, we've particularly titled this presentation Uprising, but we want to make it clear that we didn't run Sunsplash out of Montego Bay. Right? But once they, on their own steam, decided to leave, those of us, some of us you see here, we were attendees at Sunsplash for years, and we were ardent lovers of music. So we just said to ourselves, well, what the hell are we going to do? And you see us here, 20 years after the event, we just got together, and you'll hear more about it, but stupidly, some would say, we invested our money in reggae because we paid some severe prices for it. But hey, that's part of the story. So I want to make it clear from the beginning that we are, as the title might have shown you before, we are the seeds of Sumfest. The very seeds that ended up flowering. And we just started out of a love for reggae and reggae music. You'll hear later about in greater detail, the challenges with getting the concert site ready and all that was promised to us. So, there we are, the seeds to the flower, and I've told you what the motto is, but you'll hear more about it again, promoting music, the universal force. Please remember it, because we have been taken to task for introducing, I prefer to call them overseas-based artists, because people have taken us to task in saying we are Reggae Sumfest and we have overseas-based music. But from day one, the motto was promoting music, the universal force. I want to say again that from day one, we saw the taking of reggae to an even higher level, maybe because we were not businessmen insofar as music is concerned. We were lovers of music. So that had we counted the dollars and cents beforehand and balanced the budget, we probably would have all kept our money in our pocket. But as a result of that, we went straight ahead. You know, again, with the notion of uprising.
Them crazy,
we were the crazy bald-heads. Not only were we bald-headed, but we were also crazy. And in a play on Bob Marley's song about the bald-heads, had we known what we were doing, we would not have gone into it. But we have endured, and because of our commitment, and as I say to you, we were all independent businessmen, and Sumfest was not what we relied on to provide us with a living. And maybe because of that, again, we stupidly took our money that we earned from other sources and put into Sumfest. So, the crazy ballheads. But as the crazy ballheads, we never realized the kind of pressure that we would have been put under. And not just pressure from our bankers, but pressure from the institution that was called the reggae industry. Because we dared, as crazy ballheads, to stage a festival without the blessing of the reggae industry, we were vilified. And vilified in some ways that you'd never understand. And we've never made it public. But I'm here to tell you today that here are the crazy ballhead crew, and in the title of the movie which was out some years ago, well, we're the last man standing. So I say to you, the crazy ballheads had to put up with all of this institutional pressure. So for example, we were rented a site called the Bob Marley Entertainment Center. It wasn't ours. We didn't name it. We rented it from the government. Yet we were the subject of a lawsuit and an injunction preventing us from staging the festival because we advertised our concert as being held at the Bob Marley Entertainment Center. All we did was rent the site, you know. But that was part of the institutional pressure that was put on us. Because we should never have gone ahead without the blessing of the establishment. We fought the lawsuit. We demonstrated clearly that we had nothing to do with the naming of the place. And it cost us significantly. Because all our posters that we had printed for the show had made references to the Bob Marley Center. And it had also, both print and electronic, mentioned the Bob Marley Center. And you will see here some of our posters. I don't know if Stefan can go back to one of the very early ones. That's 1994. That's 1994. Hold on, Stefan. Can we go back to 90? He says, Bob Marley Center, Montego Bay. That is what we were rented, and that is what we advertised. But we were sued for calling it that. Anyway, we managed to survive that. But there are also a lot of other institutional pressures. The advertising industry. If it had cost $10 for one little ad, the crazy ballheads in Montego Bay would be required to pay $25 for it. And we couldn't do anything but go along with it. We were sued left, right, and center. Full-page ads were taken out in the newspaper, vilifying us and saying we were not credit-worthy, all because we were crazy enough to put on a festival without institutional approval prior to it happening. So that's just some of the problems that we encountered. We had occasions where for example, we were sued for the security money. And you had the Brinks truck at our gate at the cashiers waiting to collect the money because they got a court order against us. These were some of the things the kind of pressure which we were put under. And I'm saying here we are from 93, now 2013, we're still here. And we have done it without a lot of those persons who's put us under pressure. I won't go much further, and I'm going to ask Johnny, the executive director, who was also there from day one, to come up and to give you a little bit more as it relates to the growing pains and the many troubles that we had. I dare say several of our shareholders, we actually put up our houses. Many of us, my wife, myself included, you know, how do you tell your wife that you have mortgaged the house for Reggae Sumfest? You can't tell her. And that is why we were so crazy, and that is why we're crazy ball heads, still ball. They call me Natty, the heart locks.
Natty, how you get this done? Well, you're looking at the real life crazy ballhead in front of you. But Natty omitted to also tell you that when we were sold onto the venue, it was a swamp. And we were given firm undertaking that it would be ready in time for the festival in '93. We actually went to the offices of the UDC and viewed, you know, artist impressions that really were very impressive. Unfortunately, 8 weeks before the first festival, the budget was exhausted, their budget. So we had to now go and expand our shareholder base, re-inject more money, as he said, borrow money from the banks to get the venue concert ready. Not complete, because it's still not complete. Concert ready. So we could stage the first festival. The first festival was successful. Not financially, it was a great festival. Unfortunately, we lost millions of dollars. And it took some doing to try to get the shareholders to recommit to injecting more funds for the 94 festival. Unfortunately, we lost even more money, had not learned our lesson. Because our budgets, we were inexperienced, were naive, and our budgets and planning, etc., were totally off base. With the losses came unpaid bills. With unpaid bills came lawsuits. With lawsuits came all kind of pressures. That in those days, I mean, there were times I can tell you that the pressures, the hurdles seemed insurmountable. But we plowed ahead, and our loyal shareholders stepped up to the plate, and we took our time and chiseled away at the liabilities, at the debt, which I'm happy to say none exist today. Yes, we were resilient and steadfast in our mission. In 1995, and here again, I must go back to the motto, because from day one, we took a decision that our festival would not be exclusive to one genre. It would be inclusive to all genres. Hence, in 93, we presented vintage R&B acts like Benny King, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. In 94, we presented the Mighty Sparrow, the Temptations, Billy Paul. But it didn't work. So in 1995, when Diana King and Ine Kimosi were enjoying successful songs on the international charts, we took off to New York to conclude arrangements for Diana King. And I have to tell a little story here, so please indulge me. When we were going to meet her manager, attorney, who happened to be a Jewish gentleman with a office, a nice brownstone office in mid-Manhattan, I was picked up by not picked up, a friend of mine came to pick me up in his car, which was like a 1962 Buick, where everything was falling off of it. Every fender was hanging off. Everything was hanging off. And I said to him, I won't call his name, but you all know him well. I said, you can't put me in that car. If this Jewish man ever say, me and you in this car, him tear up Diana King contract and lock him off his door. So I tell you what, you have a friend who have a limousine service, so let him lend your limousine. And you put on the hat and drive me and park it so the man can look through his window and see me, which he did. So we glance up and of course, we literally lick it in style, you know. So no doubt the man was so impressed with them Jamaicans that not only we concluded the Diana King contract in short order, but he offered us a young all-girl group called Brownstone, who at the time were produced by none other than Michael Jackson. And this was our first foray into presenting current R&B acts. 1995 turned out to be successful. We never made a huge amount of money, but we stopped the bleeding. For reasons that I cannot remember, unwise reasons, we abandoned that model and went back to the vintage acts in 96 and 97. Lost more money. Not as much, but lost some more money. So at the end of 97, we had come to a crossroads because, as Natty said, we went into it, not all of us, Not all of us. Joe went into it for other reasons, but but we went into it because of the love of the music. But love of the music don't pay the bill. So at the end of 97, we had to take some tough decisions. Where do we go? How do we go forward? And the decision that we took was that, we're going to reposition the festival. And we were now committed to presenting the best, the very best reggae acts from across the globe and current top charting R&B or hip-hop acts. Consequently, we set out to book, at the time, the biggest group, R&B group in the world, Boyz II Men, and added Casey and JoJo to the lineup. 98 proved to be one of our best years. The Saturday night in 98 still stands as perhaps one of the biggest Saturday nights in the history of the festival. So the model had been set, and we thereafter decided that we would retain this model, and we have done so to this day. Notwithstanding that it is a reggae festival, we present every year over 40 reggae acts, and I know that there are reggae purists who will frown on the fact that we are also presenting overseas-based acts, but as I said, this was our motto, that we would not keep it to one genre. Now, I look around and we can say that the genres are melting into each other, they're fusing. All these collaborations that are going on now, we saw on the Super Bowl, and that was a song that was performed on the Sumfest stage by Beyonce and Sean Paul. And, we saw Beyonce doing it again, and that was 2003. So 9 years after, she's doing this song on the Super Bowl with Sean Paul. So this must tell you something, that there is no more, distance between the genres. Everything is fusing together today. Sponsorship. Now, in the beginning, it was very difficult, as you can well imagine, to get sponsorship. I'm happy to say that D&G, Ray and Nephew, Air Jamaica, and of course, the Jamaica Tourist Board. Who was D&G? Joma came after. I know, I see him. Hail, Joma, hail, blessing. Yes, the sponsorship in those days was minimal. But we, again, were committed to staging an excellent festival. And over the years, because of the quality of the product, the delivery of the product, we were able to gain recognition. And with the recognition came an increase in sponsorship year after year after year. Because we had developed a very, very good track record. In 2001, there was a groundbreaking title sponsorship with Red Stripe, which lasted until 2007. Now major sponsorship, it broke out for 3 years, which is allowing us to plan in a far more meaningful way. So the shows cannot be held without sponsorship. It's just not possible. We are just not able to charge a ticket price commensurate with the cost of production. And so as to keep it at a level that will allow Jamaicans to come to the festival, sponsorship has to play an integral part in the staging of the festival. And Mr. Robb, I think I need you back here now for some legal situations.
And I'm not being paid any legal fees, so let that form part of the record. But just let me say that Johnny mentioned something which is very important, and this thing about a track record. I think mics should be up this high, and they should have a step. So when short people come up, they stand on the step. The track record that Sumfest established was a record of excellence. From day one, nobody could ever fault the Sumfest product. It was excellent. It was quality. And Johnny speaks about reposition in the show, and that was part of the concept from the beginning. Promoting music, the universal force, at a level and a quality that would make Jamaica proud and reggae proud. We didn't think that reggae should be put up on anything less than the very best of stages and best circumstances. And so from day one up to current time, you can see that the Sumfest Productions and Summerfest, as it happens every year, is on the cutting edge. I just want to say that on the screen is a picture which says, "We remember Winston." Winston is the gentleman to the right. All right, to your left then. And in the middle is, I don't know if you recognize that gentleman. Anybody care to hazard a guess as to? Right, I heard somebody mention it. David Hines from Steel Pulse. And then that's Johnny. I just going to point out one thing. You notice the two of them have on the same shirt? Because we were very corporate. So everybody had to have on a uniform. Unlike now when we all look like ragamuffins and even more crazy. But the point is, I have to tell you about Winston because we all worked at the ticket gates, collecting tickets ourselves. And I was standing beside Winston, and Winston was checking armbands. And all I saw was Winston, and with very graphic language that I don't want to use here, but language that refers to fabric. With Winston popping off this armband of, I'm going to describe him as such, this Rasta man with a piece of cane in his mouth and chucking him out. And at that point in time, I myself used some fabric language because I was surprised too. And I said, "Winston, that's David Hines from Steel Pulse. Is the artist tonight you're pushing out of the place?" And again, he was so surprised that he himself issued some more fabric. And I must commend David Hines that Hines was so cool, he was so calm. He had no air of importance about him. And all he said when we totally apologized at the gate was "Irie." That's all he said, despite being chucked out of the place in front of everybody. And so Winston, trying to make up for it, took him all the way backstage now to Johnny so that he could be given a new artist armband, because Winston don't tear it off and dashed already. And further apologies. And me being the cameraman that I was, I took the picture of the event. So I'm just saying, that's just part of going back to the crazy ballhead things. Because we loved music, but a lot of us, Johnny made mention of Joe, that Joe never even know what artist is. Until I was somebody who draw. And then you have people on the board who instead of Chakademos and pliers, you have people who mention, what is it, screwdriver and pliers, and because they were at a loss as to these things. But anyway, the point is that Johnny mentions again that Saturday night was probably the biggest night in the history of the festival. But I would also go on to say that Saturday night probably saw the biggest crowd that any live music festival has ever had in Jamaica. Reggae Sumfest. So the seeds that we planted have flowered, and as we grew, there was a particular incident in 2001 involving bottle throwing. And I prefer not to call the names of the artists, but particular artists went out of their way to clash with another artist, and it involved bottle throwing. Rather ugly incident, but we were able, unknown to the people at the front, to quell, dampen, and as always, since this is Reggae Sumfest, present always the best face. But that incident went on backstage, and as a result of that, we decided that the following year, unless artists were prepared to sign our contract, which had particular clauses dealing with conduct, profanity, gender references, the whole works. What is now regarded as common protocol. We insisted then that if you were going to be on our stage, you had to sign this contract, and in particular this clause which you had to initial, which meant we told you. We, again, institutional pressure. The parish council threatened not to give us licenses because Lady Saw was being herself. Later on, you're going to see a Lady Saw up on the screen, and I'm sure many of you here wouldn't even recognize that Lady Saw. But that was the Lady Saw in 1993. It's 20 years later now. So the point I'm making is that despite all of that, we were headlined, front-paged, because we were promoting profanity. The church was against us. Everything took place. And so we had to insist on the code of conduct in order to protect our sponsors, because at that point in time, there was no sponsorship insistence on a particular type of conduct. But again, with advanced thinking, what is now the norm is what we introduced in our contracts way back then. So the code of conduct concept is something which we introduced for the protection of everybody. Because Sumfest, unlike some other festivals which prided themselves on bottle throwing, we actually had little children, families there sleeping straight back till morning. And so from then we decided we had to protect the festival and the little children with all that was being said, without at the same time restricting artistic liberty. So that's Sumfest. Johnny?
Bring food scotcha. We are so tolerant, brethren. We are so big belly stealing. Reggae get Grammy again. I you have to sign Grammy one more time. I know political, I can know the cook and the crop. A reggae put Jamaica on top. You know here I know political, I can know the cook and the crop. A reggae put Jamaica on top. Me say me don't talk already, I may not take it back.
Yes, Natty, thank you. Well, I am at Values and Springboard. Now, as a result of the expanding reach of the festival and the growth of the Reggae Sumfest brand, the event attracts a very large and ever-increasing contingent of international and local media, as well as thousands of patrons from across the far reaches of the globe. And here I pause to tell a quick little story. A few years ago, I was in Panama City attending a cruise shipping conference and happened to be in a pharmacy in the hotel to buy some medication for my wife who was sick in bed. And a very attractive young lady happened to be in the line behind me and heard the accent and inquired if I was from Jamaica. And I said, yes, I'm from Jamaica. She says, well, you know, I go there every year, about 30 of my girlfriends. I said, what? to Jamaica? She said, yes. I said, where do you go to? She said, every year we go to that great reggae festival called Sumfest. So, you know, I kind of just pull the card out of my back pocket and say, hold this, you know. I mean that. But as it was, there was the sick to be tended to. Yeah, the festival at one time or another has been covered by MTV, VH1, MTV Europe, BET, the BBC, NBC Extra, Access Hollywood, E! Entertainment, Channel O from South Africa, Much Music, numerous music publications. We have had specials on BET, Much Music, as well as National Geographic. This is clearly evident that Reggae Sumfest has proven itself to be an excellent vehicle to promote brand Jamaica. I mean, we are bringing, as I said, hundreds of international press here from all manner of countries, New Zealand, Poland, Argentina, Mexico, you name it. You know, as well as patrons from so many countries that it would take me a half an hour to list them up here. So we are definitely a wonderful vehicle to brand Jamaica. The Sumfest stage has also provided tremendous exposure and a platform to new and emerging acts. And I name a few here that their careers, in a way, almost started on the Sumfest stage. People like Morgan Heritage, Queen Ifrica, Taurus Riley, Etana, Protege, Conscience, and of course, many more. Several overseas acts also went on to win Grammy Awards after appearing on the Sumfest stage. And of course, Alicia Keys, Kanye West, Akon, Drew Hill, with Cisco, Rihanna, John Legend, all come to mind. Sumfest has also had a very, very positive economic impact on Jamaica. You know, all the hotels in and around Montego Bay and on the North Coast report very high occupancy during the week of Sumfest. The planes are full, the restaurants do well, the transport operators, the souvenir stores, the attractions, and of course there's a trickle-down effect to everybody on the North Coast. In 2002, the Tourist Board and the GHT came to us and made a request that we move the days, because in those days, Sumfest was held in the first week in August. And they said, listen, that's a strong tourism week, and you guys may be piggybacking on tourists who are here, and that's why you can't get the rooms you need. So we said, no problem. Where you want us? They said, go to the third week in July, because that's a soft week, and you'll be able to get the room. So we said, no problem, we'll go there. Well, we went there, and in short order, fill out those that week, fill all the hotel rooms, did everything. And of course, today, the hotels are very, very supportive of the event, and we cannot complain at all in the support with regard to providing rooms for our artists, production, personnel, press, etc. And again, I give a little story about this date change to show the reach of the festival. We went to an Air Jamaica promotion called Islands in the Park in Brooklyn in the same 2002. That's the first year of the date change. And when we were going in, Robert Russell and myself, a group of policemen beckoned to us. So I said, Doxy, what kind of trouble you get us into in New York now? Because, you know, I don't come so far now for a policeman to be calling me. So I'm saying, all right, man, come. So they were very upset. You know what happened? We had on the shirt, so they knew we were Sumfest people. And they said, listen, what kind of foolishness this you do? We 30-something, I think it was 32 of them, from different precincts in New York, had booked their tickets and hotel to come to Reggae Sumfest. Of course, they booked August, not knowing that we had changed the date to July. So they were very upset. Following year, we had to give them free tickets. And this time is just demonstrating again the reach of the festival and all the people across the globe that it touched. Of course, Sumfest provides direct employment to hundreds of persons. It has been a training ground for many individuals now sought after in event and production management. We engage dozens of service providers from across the island annually, and the festival provides economic opportunities to a number of stall vendors. Stalls add flavor to the festival and help in no small way to shape the Sumfest, the Reggae Sumfest experience.
Around there, so everything nice inside the place, man.
Remember, God, say, remember when around this man say,
I'm wicked, dangerous, and bad. Me have a Bellevue ticket and a Bellevue toggle. Do some people not like how me turn. Still working everybody house for me mama. Make all the money, then me lay down the plan. Then me give thanks to the Almighty One. Hallelujah.
talk to you, but it's not the same. Massive as you're listening to. Oh, every time you whisper my name.
Daddy, if you ever left me yard, I might tell you like security guard.
Me girl from you, African princess, don't be shy.
Wine, baby, wine.
First of all, me love your face and all the shape and all the body where you have. Beer as your dearest, rated and bad. All a girl a push up till a girl that she had. She is a girl that... Ouch. Why you better try get rid of the luggage. Later with a roll and take your husband to carry.
I'm gonna give you love. I'm gonna give you joy. I'm gonna make you mine. I'm gonna end all the time.
Baby, my life, do it. We take it for a stroll.
No operation radication. No operation radication. No operation radication.
Yeah, well, we have just seen some magical Sumfest moments. We're going to see some more. And there we were looking on a young beanie man, as you can see, a bald-head beanie man like me. A young lady saw, and of course, the great Yellow Man, the great Bob Andy, the great Sanchez, Tiger, the great Mighty Diamonds. Now, the video that we're going to see is a short clip about, in my opinion, a spellbinding performance. It's the last performance by Garnet Silk.
We're gonna keep them talking, talking, talking. We've got the last more talking, talking, talking. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that was absolutely a spellbinding performance, because he passed away within a few months of this performance. In 1994, of course, Shabba Ranks, as we all know, was at the time, the biggest Jamaican artist. We moved mountains to get him in 94, and of course did the same thing last year for his return after almost 20 years. So let us have a look on the great
Put
Shabba.
your banter.
First Shabba.
Step by step, you have to climb the ladder. The area that you have to show respect for. Early business, I work live forever. And it's motivation to make a boy suffer. Good, good. So the way down the road, I go, I got something off the beach, yes, so good, good. I'm a ride down the road, find some wall of shit. Good, good. I'm a down the road. Take it long, take it long. I'm not going to a circle, I'm not going to a pill.
of the dance, I shop around the little bit of the video. The type of lyrics I just want to hear. Y'all picking in the boom of like a new flip. Wine to the bottom, wine to the top. I'm gonna come up and I'll show up, I'm gonna do that shit. And the reason why she will, put it on my kitchen. Oh, in a pop in a red country. Shabba rocks in all the place. Just turn up and rock with the music that you want. Turn up and rock. We're in the house and you turn up and rock. I never feel like it. If the music that you want to get it, we're on the clock. Music the white end. And the possession and no man is jumping up front. Come and change lyrics. Jump on.
Okay, now the next three artists happen to be, I mean, not only three of my favorite all-time reggae artists, but they gave top draw performances on Sumfest. And these, of course, are Steel Pulse, who I think, you know, Steel Pulse, one of the all-time favorite band. Aine Kimozi in 95. I mean, Aine is one of the reggae greatest songwriters and lyricists. And the mighty, mighty Dennis Brown. So, magical Sumfest moment.
Here comes Rastaman. Abacadabra, catch me if you can. I know, you find it hard to believe it. I am the genie of it, and I can do anything you wish, but right now, commanding me, stepping out, stepping out, stepping out, stepping out. Yeah. Invisible music, yeah, to the great lights, he cannot see. Nowhere on earth can this reggae be found. I know you find it hard to believe that I am the genie of your left hand. I can do anything you wish, but right now, rain down, rain down, the brimstone, and thunder, lightning, hurricane, ooh, cyclone, Lord have mercy.
When we go for jump, I say we drop it crucial. Hey, we at the Reggae General. We don't victimize and then we don't social. Do you love Get the African, I make for reason in a thing. Tribal lover where we want it. The hypocritical Babylonian thing. Do you love Lord,
Well, at least we get a look on him. But truly, true, great performances, I tell you. And the next man now is not with us right now. Soon be back, I hope. But this performance, Shiloh.
Once more, it's not an easy road. I'm in the city, glamour and the glitter. I think I made a rose, me say. Who feels it most? From the minute of birth, you enter this world. Don't settle there in your way to overcome first. Throughout every day, they seem to get worse. Oh my God, cast away this curse. Everybody I try to make every end meet you anyway that them end never. Lord God, you see, no matter what the world may say out the street, must have been survive, won't accept defeat. Now I'm weary, tired and dreary. We got no time to rest. Let me hear you now. It's not an easy road. Oh no, no. No, 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 no. Who feels it?
Great Bujo. You have to agree with me. I mean, it was a scintillating performance on the Sumfest stage. And the next man, of course, I think it was the same year or the year after, Luciano also put down a masterpiece.
Come to carry me away. God knows what I've been waiting, and I've been praying for this day. I got to give myself away. Imagine I can't even pray.
False words are spoken with twisted tongue. The truth has mistaken. Lies are told to the young, from country to country, city to city. They try to do us harm, but they can't stop Judge's storm. Stand firm with your pride, with nothing to hide. Our aim, our destiny is to be free. Talk them a town, I run up them out. Babylon say you must change your route. Talk them a town, I run up.
Great performances. Now, Barry Salmon, there's too many outstanding performances to show you any, except to say that every Barry Salmon performance on Reggae Sumfest from the beginning has been extra, extra special. And I'm sure you'll all agree with me. The next man is a man that nearly burned down Sumfest now, the fireman. I don't know if you heard the other night. I don't know if you heard the other night, but you know, the cables to the front of the house from the stage nearly caught fire. And in those days, True Tone used to do the sound, he had to turn it off. Because this man was kicking ass, I tell you, that morning.
Now speak no truth, said them can't fire. When them a fight against the youth, said them can't fire. When them now move straight, said them can't fire. When them now move great, said them can't fire. All of them are pirate, they said them jump, 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 jump. Well, me go call Martin Mother. Then me ask him who rise there and stomach. But some can't.
Yes, man, Mr. Capleton. Now we're going to go to the new Beanie. Because Beanie closes dance all night, as you all know, every year, year after year. And Beanie brings a kind of energy to the stage and whips up the audience into a frenzy at that hour of the morning. Nobody wants to do it. Every year, some big man come with some big hit. And when you go to the management, every man hide around the corner, hide around the back of the door. I said, Beanie, you have to do it again. I said, boy, we get another clue and you have to give me a ease. I said, no, it's just you that. That's your slot. Come again. Well, what can I say? Let's hit Beanie.
Let me see the Yamago. Mr. Anybody who want them on them city? We have them. Man, I don't want to say them as a shaman. And I want to go and lock them as a shaman. And I want to go and lock them as a right on the big man. Sumfest! I'm going to talk about the mineral and be at the mineral and tell it from that.
All right, the next man, I've kind of watched him evolve on the Sumfest stage. Because his first performance, he was very shy. He stood up at the back of the stage while his brother, Julian Marley, was at the front. I don't know if you recall that performance. Little boy, little junior gangs, about tall, about so. Well, I watched this man become like a monster. And his performance last year, I mean, was just outrageous. Absolutely. So, Stefan, go into it. Make everybody see.
If you look in the face of the newly born, the face man nutrition. Suspicion to what is the ambition. Good on the substance of the ignition. And the world still a fight over religion. Everyone have a right to a decision. Superstition the people reflect upon. Something not right and I'm not suspect upon. And they've lost, but they don't mess me up. Exodus with the Christian, with a book on your coffee, uniform, you a driver, even a engineer, if you are right, jump on a unicorn, this is who's if you use a pedestrian, we call a border like a Mexican, and the house serve you like a leprechaun. Sugar! Movement of jumping. Can I see the hands up one more time, please? All hands up! Everybody know! Jump!
Thank you, Stefan. And now, I don't know, you see Elephant Man every year. I mean, I go around to the service gate every year when I know Elephant Man is in the bus coming just to see the costume I'm going to wear. I have to tell you. And what we're going to say is not Elephant Man alone, but these two big international acts are on the stage with Elephant Man. I don't think that they have ever performed together before. I don't think they have performed after. So this is a special Sumfest moment with Usher, Chris Brown, and Elephant.
If you want it, swing. Welcome to the dancing. Everybody, to the belly dance and swing. Welcome to this. Left with Usher. We're going to show them the new dance step. You ready, Usher? All right. Hey, Usher. Give them a run. Give them. Hey, Usher. Me have a new dance to run the place. Sway. 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 Signal the players. Because you don't. Everybody, signal, signal. Usher, pon the river, pon the river, pon. Scooby! Reggae Sumfest! Ladies! Love you. Shizzle. Usher, friend for life. Take it out. Love you all. Chris, level. Take it down. Take it down. Come here. Chris. Chris. Voila, voila. You can't do that one there. Bully creeper.
Wonderful, wonderful. Brings back memories. Well, that's it for the visual, but I just want to say that there are some other artists that you didn't see. To me, very special. The night of Joseph Hill, culture, burning spear. I mean, cooking, smoking. Lionel Richie, have to tell you, put down a performance. A lot of people said, oh, Lionel, maybe a little past it, but no, 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 no. Put down a performance, you know, and many others. Taurus Riley. I have watched Taurus mature in front of my eyes. I mean, from an artist that, I don't know, again, people remember that Taurus was a backup singer for Levasca. That's his first trip to Sumfest. Following year, he came to the office, we don't know who he is. I wasn't there when I came back. I think it was Tina or one of the ladies said, listen, a young man leave a CD for you. I've been waiting hours. I said, okay, give it to me. And what I like to do, because that's how sometimes you spot talent, is that you drive out, stick it in, listen to it. A lot of times you listen to it for 20 seconds, you take it out. This time I turned back. I said, where this young man there? make we find him. And that's Taurus Riley. Right? Now, Sumfest wasn't all about, and I wanted to crave your indulgence just for a little longer, it wasn't all about some special music moments. You know, over 20 years, you must have some little things that go on, little incidents that go on, and I have a few of them to share with you. I don't want to keep you up too long, but a few of them. Now, there was as Natty like to call them, an overseas-based act, a hip-hop artist who was performing. So what we like to do, or what I like to do, is before all the artists perform, not only overseas, everybody, from the man at 9 o'clock until the last man, I like to go to the management, like to go into the dressing room, like to make sure that they are comfortable, because I feel that once you sign a contract to present an artist, you must make sure that everything is running smoothly and the artist is comfortable. So this particular night I went in the dressing room and said, everything good? Him say, yes, man. And Hennessy, blah, blah. So when I was about to leave, him calling back, him say, I need some chronic. So I said, all right, no problem. I don't know what it means. Never did then. So I leave now. And when I leave, I buck up one of my, I shoot birds, you know. So I buck up one of my bird scouts, who is also a carpenter on the side. So I say, Indian. The big man say him need some chronic. What that? Him say, Sir G, what your chat say? You don't know that a man like you, the good sense the man need. So I said, but how we going to deal with that? Him say, give me 2 minutes. So I stand up here and I watch him walk across there, right beside the police tent, where all the big soup there. All the big soup and inspectors sit down drinking off some rum and vodka and thing. And I see him just go inside and come out with about a pound of the good sensei. But who you think of a carry it in, you know, me? Because him can't go backstage, so me now have to carry it in the dressing room. Well, that was quite an incident. And next time now, we have some other international artists at the Half Moon. Now, I don't know what get into them head. They must have been smoking that chronic. But at about midnight, them decide to thief two of the the golf cart them, and drive them from Half Moon down to Margaritaville to party. Yes. And them party till about 3, 4 in the morning. Drive up back, you know. Manage to get back, I don't know how. Drive into the hotel property and write them off on 2 coconut trees. So I get a call from a man named Heinz Simonich, who was the general manager at the time. Wake me up. Said, Johnny, you have to get these people out of my hotel immediately. Yes, we had to pay for the, a matter of fact, I think the 2 golf carts that you see Mr. Russell driving up and down is them 2 golf carts that we had to salvage. And then, of course, now, there's a reggae man, a big reggae man. Oh, we saw him up there too. Who we put into trial. Now, trial, as you know, is Tapanari's place, you know. And first problem is that one of his crew, not him, one of his crew, bringing a little Thai dog. You know them little, what they call them, little miniature poodles, what they call them. But I don't think it's a real Thai dog, because the real Thai dog, them obedient, and them when they sit on a people's lap and them not going nowhere and them something. But this dog, no. It start to rain and him run outside in the mud and run, come back, jump on the people, them couch. Now, the couch in a house in trial worth more than my house, you know. So you have to understand the problem, Sumfest, you know. Make it worse now, the manager, the general manager, God bless his soul, he has since passed on, call me to say, listen, him go down onto him beach to do a little walk around, and him can't see none of him guests, him can't see none of him staff. There is a pillar of smoke that has engulfed the entire beach. Yeah? It coming like a fog from the Scottish moors. Him said, Johnny, you cannot send these people here. You have to understand that this man, you know, a man named Ralph, Lauren, and all kind of man at them own villa down there. So we apologize, and a year passed. So I said, David, like we try for some more rooms again next year. The man called me and said, come, I need to see you in person because it don't look like you understand. But when I go, you know what I get? I get a US check. The man said, I will give you money, buy the room somewhere else. Not bring nobody down yourself. And of course, there was the cooking in the coal pot in the villa at Half Moon. And my deputy chairman, one of those who not music lovers, maybe him learn a little now, but back then him never learn none. So he was in charge of security. You know a man named Godfrey Dyer. He was in charge of security, and he's at the service gate. And in those days, everybody have radio, you know, so this call come through. Little man is here. Little man is here. What do we do? Because some of them on the bus don't have them armband. So everybody said, but we don't book nobody named Little Man. Who name so? He said, yes, man, Little Man is here. So after a few seconds, it suddenly dawned on me, say, Beanie Man in my chat. So I said, Godfrey, you mean Beanie Man? He said, Little Man, Beanie Man, what the hell it matter? So those are some fun times at Sumfest. And of course, the time with the Main Street crew, warn him again, you know. But them harder hearing. Him and a lady that passed on named Lucy Lou. I said, don't book nobody in that hotel. The artists, them not going to stay there. Them going to go there, look at it, and left. And you're only going to get me now in a problem because the show going in a contention. No, man, you don't know what you're talking about. It's a lovely hotel. Well, of course, the artists, them go down there and decide I'm not staying there. So, when I look on the running order, some of the artists, them, I think it was Red Rat, Goofy, Hawkeye, and some more. About two others. About the two others, though, them was kind of performing like after 10, and then you lead into the rest, you know? So I said, Godfrey, what we're going to do? Not true. Couldn't find Godfrey, him hide me out. So I'm on the radio, Godfrey, come in, Godfrey, come. So when I realized I get to nowhere and time passing, well, me tell you the truth. If you're around me long enough, you know that I use the language, the other language, quite eloquently. So me use some of it in a very aggressive manner, you know. All of a sudden I hear a voice coming. You think is you alone can cuss bad word? And then him tell me about 40 bad words. So come over now. I said, Godfrey, we have a problem. Sort it out. Get rooms at Trelawney Beach. But them can't go Trelawney Beach and come back. So I said, Godfrey, you deal with this. So him take them, him never know. I said, how much of them? I said, one of them, two of them. So him take them. Every time I was living at Upper Deck, him have a 2-bedroom apartment at Upper Deck. When him said, take them up there, man. When him arrived now, about 16 man. Come to bathe and change. Well, luckily, he did own Wexford Court, so he must take out a whole for the hotel towel and have them there. Whether they had them there rightfully or whatever, but about 50 hotel towel him have. So they were able to bathe. But the problem is now, every liquor in a liquor cabinet, when I say everything, you know what I mean? Everything, nothing left. Gin, rum, beer, scotch, you name it. But they got to the show on time. He learned after that. Mr. Robb, come back.
Yeah, I tell you, we have all kind of very, very humorous events. And because Johnny mentioned it, because of the problems with rooms, at one point in time we even went to hire in villas. And we hired a very luxurious villa up in the hills overlooking Mobile. And I won't put the name, tell you the name of the artist. But we put a particular, let's call him a high-end artist in the villa. No. International. And so we put him in the villa, high-end luxury villa. And the villa was, we negotiated a special deal with the owner, because normally that villa is like 2,000 US a week. But everybody felt they should contribute. And the owner came to us and said, well, I thought you were having like 5 people in the villa. We said, yeah, man, it's big time sing on 3 more people. He said, no. I had to take my camera and take pictures of them and go to him and say, let's say the singer was Mr. Gordon. He said, this is the owner of the place now, you know. He said, I had to go to him and say, actually it was Maxi Priest. And he said he went to him and said, now, Mr. Priest, sir. Fortunately, it was digital camera. So he said, I went through all the pictures that I took. And I said, Mr. Priest, sir, can you tell me which of these persons are with you? Because as of now, the others are going to have to leave. So please, Mr. Priest, can you tell me now? So he went through all the pictures. Now, Maxi also got up and saw him and said, come here, boy. And he quite happily, being the owner of this luxury villa, trotted up to, quite respectfully, Mr. Priest. Yes, sir. And Mr. Priest tells him, we want something down at the market and we want you to go get it. And he quite happily said, no problem, Mr. Priest. And Mr. Priest and his cook gave him this long list of things. And he went off to the market and bought them. And he said, you know, one thing I must say about Mr. Priest, he's quite generous. You know, he gave me $100. I said, 100 US? He said, no, 100 Jamaican for going to the market for him. I said, oh, all right, all right, all right. But I can tell you, we never got that villa again after that year. I can tell you. But anyway, Sumfest has a lot of treasured moments. And Johnny mentions the security, the service gate. And that's full of happenings. The service gate, Hugh Thompson is here too, one of the original shareholders and a director. And the service gate is something that everybody avoided having to serve at. I think maybe the most successful service gate director, or the director of the service gate, if you want to call him that, because everybody else, when it came to go into the back gate, everybody have belly ache or something, and all of a sudden Tommy need to sign some legal papers. And so few people ended up there. Godfrey Dyer, Robert Russell, and Walter Elmore. Now, it was like extremes. But Walter got the end of the stick, because Walter and I went to school from infant school. Walter came to Jamaica from Austria, pure white man. But Walter grew up in Jamaica from about age 7. So nobody can cuss bad word like Walter. So here is Walter at the service gate, in charge of the service gate, a white man. And this white man is at the back gate cussing more bad word to the police and everybody else than anybody else who would look like a Jamaican. And Walter blocked some guys who were trying. And all you can hear on the security radio is that you need the reinforcements. And I remember specifically some of us going to the back gate. It's like them have like a peephole. And when you look through the peephole, Walter is the only man on the other side of the service gate, and he's dodging about 50 million buckle. And I think it was Johnny, because he's always good for that. Him say, hey, Natty, you know what happened? Make we left and go back round at the front. So was that. But there's 3 million stories. And I just like to say again, too, in keeping with Johnny's experience in Panama, I actually went to the Tour de France years ago. I was an ardent cyclist, so I followed it. And I was actually in Bordeaux on one leg of the Tour de France. And I'm walking down, let's say, Main Street. And this man comes out to me and he says, American. I suppose because I'm tall and maybe because of my dress, I don't look European, but I had sneakers. So he says, American. So I said, no, Jamaican. And he said, Jamaica? And I said, yes, Jamaica. Reggae Sumfest, Jamaica. I said, yes. And believe me, the man went into about 5 or 6 different shops along and called out the people, come, Jamaica, not American, Jamaica. Right? And he sat me down. My wife was with me. He sat us down. He insisted that we had to have wine with him. And I can tell you, I don't think I saw when the Tour de France passed. Because the man would have killed me with wine and cheese, Jamaica, Reggae Sumfest. So the name is all over, and it has a positive, very positive image. We saw the Ouch Girls, and for those of you who don't know, Ouch was the definite forerunner to all these promotional brand ladies that you have now dressed up in all kind of costumes. Right? And tribute must be paid to Ouch. Ouch was there, not necessarily officially, but their costumes. Dr. Hope, I think the UWI need to do a special research paper on dancehall styles and the Ouch Girls in particular. I say that to say that Summerfest has begun a relationship with the University of the West Indies and with the Western campus of the University of the West Indies in particular. Dr. Hope, I see Mr. Prendergrass here from the Western campus, and we have Stefan here from the Western campus. And I'm sorry if I haven't identified other persons from the university or the Western campus. But the importance of it is that Sumfest has recognized and accepted that reggae is an art form that in itself requires not just exposure, but serious study. And if we don't contribute to that serious study, if we don't begin to have our own institutions define our own music and present it for the world to see, then it will always be the story of the lions and the hunter. Because until the lions developed a PR person of their own, the story was always about how the hunter killed the lion. You've never heard of the lion and how many hunters they killed. The lions never had their own story. And so reggae must, more so now than before, develop itself not just as a growing art form that's mainstream, because anybody would tell you that reggae is no longer mainstream or reggae is peripheral. It isn't, and we're not supposed to allow people to tell us that. So Summerfest Productions has started this relationship with UWI, and we intend to expand it and to ensure that not only are there research papers available for people to read, but Summerfest will be offering internships to students engaged at the university in matters affecting event management, the Reggae Studies Unit, CARIMAC, in terms of the audio visuals necessary for a promotion. We will be exposing to the university students as part of their training, officially sanctioned by the university, the exposure to Sumfest and all of its aspects. I want to mention also Dr. Longsworth, I call her a regional director for the Western Campus, a campus which Sumfest fully supports because the university has been too long in getting itself outside of Kingston. And Summerfest is just one of those entities that started out west that has become successful. Next month we celebrate, for those of us who regard it as a celebration, there's still many persons who don't, the Carol Gardens, some call it massacre, some call it uprising, when the Rastas clashed with the institution. And just like Reggae Sumfest, we too, out of the West, started this uprising. We were the crazy ball heads. We never have no locks, but we dared to challenge and put forward to the institutions that be a position of independence and a demand for respect and respectability. That is what Reggae Sumfest has done, and therefore, as we move into the continuation of Reggae Month, Sumfest unreservedly says that reggae doesn't belong to any particular group in Jamaica. It's not an old boys club. You don't have to like Reggae Sumfest to accept that Reggae Sumfest owns the block. We're not running around the block. We're not a kid on the block. After 20 years, Reggae Sumfest owns the block as far as live music in Jamaica is concerned. Now we don't need, we're not being boastful, but I say reggae belongs to all of us. And so we can't go back to a situation where, because we have had 20 years of experience, that we are going to try and exclude others from coming in or determining what we regard as reggae. So we have no problem with dancehall. Absolutely none. We have no problem with the purists, in effect, criticizing us for not having enough purist music. Fine, but we also say to them there's a certain economic reality. And Mr. International Purists, we support them totally. But it cannot be that we encourage the setting up of one against the other. It's reggae music, and in keeping with our motto from day one, we're going to be promoting music, the universal force. And there's going to be some other form of reggae that comes about, but are we to exclude it because it was around in our time? I don't think so. Certainly not Reggae Sumfest. So we're into moving into the future. We think that, as the song said earlier, is reggae put Jamaica on top. And so insofar as the use of reggae as a marketing tool for brand Jamaica, not just to market Jamaica, but also to recognize that reggae, the artistry, the art, and the artists have very valuable capital that must be recognized as capital worthy of trading in. Worthy of trading in. So people tend not to see the capital value of reggae, whereas people will gladly recognize the capital value of a particular type of motor car, which maybe by tomorrow it's in the swamp somewhere off the bypass, whatever you call it. And so again, from the point of view of Reggae Sumfest, because we believe in the capital value of reggae, we are discussing, contemplating public offerings. As individuals, we will never be here forever, but reggae music will be, and as an entity, a company, we have considered, and it will become even more relevant, the offerings to the public of share capital in Sumfest, because we believe that it must grow, and the foundation that we have put it on, we cannot, for selfish reasons, stymie the growth of Reggae Sumfest, because it represents not just us, the Crazy Ballheads, but reggae music and Jamaica in particular. So we intend to grow. John is going to come back and give you some more information, but I just want to say again to that, take crowd safety, for example. Thank God we've had a very enviable record as far as crowd safety is concerned. And it's not by accident, because again, we see our very own as coming there day and night. And we don't tend at any point in time, sometimes much to our expense, to shortcut because it's just a show. So our stall is not made of bamboo, but I'm not taking the risk of putting up a stall with a upstairs and 600 and people jumping up on top of it and thinking that the bamboo not going to break. So it costs us more. So our record for safety in all aspects of it is enviable. We intend to keep it, and we intend to make it even more comfortable for patrons insofar as that is possible in the site that we have. We encourage government to put more emphasis in the cultural arts, and as I say, to put a value on it. I just end on one little note which Johnny never mentioned. Going back to Brownstone and the offerings and the old car that he was being transported in. What Johnny didn't tell you is that having been so elated about getting the sign-ins from this gentleman, the gentleman then asked if we could think of accommodating this group called Brownstone, as Johnny said. But what he didn't tell you is that he told the man that he'd get back to him. So he said, we'd get back to you. We're not certain we can accommodate it. But we were so happy in getting the sign-ins that this gentleman now thought we were such a big outfit that he was now begging us to put on Brownstone. And our response was, we'll have to think about it. That was the bravado of Gourzong. And fortunately, we got back to the man in very short order and said yes, because we needed Brownstone too, not because we were too big. So, Johnny and the audience, I'm not coming back up here again. And I say to you that Sumfest, with this story at this international conference, remains fully committed to reggae, remains fully committed to the International Reggae Conference, and we will continue in whatever way we can to advance reggae as an organization. So, Johnny will tell you the rest of the story. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Natty. Okay, we're going to wind down now. Just some tributes. And first of all, we have to pay very special thanks to our shareholders. They have been resolute, they have been long-suffering, they have remained committed, they have taken risks, and of course, without them, we wouldn't be here today. Our sponsors, they bought into the vision, and again, we are forever indebted to them. And here I single out companies like Red Stripe, Digicel, Pepsi, and of course the Jamaica Tourist Board, and the many hotels. Foremost among them being Iberia Star. Iberia Star has become the Sumfest village over the past 3 or so years. The media. The media has been our ambassadors, our apostles from day one. The local media, they spread the gospel everywhere, and of course, the international media that come from so many, many countries across the globe. They continue to give exposure to this festival and to spread the word about reggae music and Reggae Sumfest. Our team. And here I not only speak about persons directly employed to the company, but first of all, many of the shareholders play an active role, because in people like Sidney Reed, we have, who is a director, we have one of the best, if not the best, site director in Jamaica. In Joe Hilton, our director of finance, he keeps us on the straight and narrow, you know, and allows us to be able to at least be able to buy a Red Stripe beer at the end of the day. And there are many others. Howard Deers, who is not here with us. Hugh Thompson, our legal counsel, who whenever we get into trouble, or whenever we have a little problem like we did with R. Kelly 2 years ago, they have to jump into the fray to try and sort it out, you know. Big thank you. Well, Tommy to me, Hugh to others. And of course, you know, she's gone now, but people like Lucy Lou, the work that she did, Robert Russell, who is our chairman and who is the fireman. He outs all the fires, gets things done when we can. I never forget, again, I don't want to bore you, but same boys to men, they came to Jamaica, they had no work permit. This was again in August in those days, I think. So, Independence Weekend, they are at Norman Manley, about to be sent back to New York. And I believe the Prime Minister at the time was the Minister of Labor. And of course, we can't get anywhere with immigration. Robert pick up the phone and have her on the line, and him have the head immigration man on the other line, and keep the two of them on the phone until we get them okay, and send them on to Montego Bay. Yeah. So big up Robert Russell in his absence. He is good at those kind of things. And of course, Tina. I mean, my God. Tina works 25 and a half hours every day for Sumfest. Goes way, way, way beyond the call of duty. Aldria is with us now. Aldria joined us. Aldria attended the University of the West Indies and was taught by Dr. Hope. Stand up, Aldria. Let them know you. Doing a fantastic job, you know. And there are so many others. I mean, there are others now who don't work for us directly. And, you know, I'm not going to cover all of them, but Marcia, who is here with us, and Maxine from Touchstone. Jerome was here from Headline. Amazing, you know. Delana Forbes from Phase 3. Clive Gitchie, who was the gentleman who created the Sumfest logo. Yeah, way back when, and does all our signs for us. Adrian Lawson, John Swaby. Well, who don't know John Swaby in this business? Everybody must know John Swaby. Warrell King, everybody know Warrell King. I have a own show, but he's our top of the line stage manager. When a man for stay 15 minutes, him don't mean 16. Cut you. You would have cut me long time. Okay, and then of course we have Robin Russell, who is in charge of our security. Junior Taylor, who is not with us this evening, and people like Janet Silvera, who we all know in a different light. Nicola Thomas, Maxine Besesa, and many others, you know. I hope I'm not left out anybody. And of course our great MCs, because we go with the tried, proven, and tested, you know, and year after year. So people like Elise Kelly and Francois and Richie B and G.T. Taylor. Of course, Paula and Porter. Yes, they are with us year after year, from the beginning. From the beginning. Our vendors, I mean, 90% of the vendors you will see at Sumfest have been with us from like 93, 94, you know. That, yes, they have helped to just really give the festival the flavor that it has. And they come, and every year it helps them to send their children. Many of them are no longer children, because the children get big now, is grandchildren, back to school. So a big up to the vendors. And last but not least, because without them, don't make no sense, the reggae lovers, the patrons from all across Jamaica, and the patrons from all over the world who keep coming to hear this powerful, powerful music that has no boundaries. I say thank you and thank you, thank you. So it has been a pleasure being here this afternoon with you. Not quite evening yet, just afternoon. And thank you again, Dr. Hope, for having invited us. Thank you. And now we can move into any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Yes, I'm short, so we go back to regular height. Thank you. And I must say that when I went to Montego Bay and had my first discussions with the Sumfest crew, I'm very pleased that we actually managed to have a collaboration for this International Reggae Conference, because it is my belief that the work that we do with our culture, our music, and our creative industries should not just be something at the university where we have academic discussion, but we should engage with the industry and the players in the industry at different levels, those who create the music, those who spread the music, those who market the music, you know, produce the music in different ways. And so I'm very pleased to have Reggae Sumfest here with us, as well as, of course, having Rotterdam Sunsplash all the way from Europe sharing with us at this International Reggae Conference to show how the music is spread, disseminated, and given to music lovers all over the world. This time we're going to have a moment for questions and answers. Are there any questions from the audience? Yes, we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Are there questions? I believe there should be a microphone. Is there a microphone? There should be a microphone right here. So we would have time for a few questions, and then we are just going to have our closing remarks for the conference so that we can wrap up what has been a very jam-packed 3 days full of rich activity. We'll use that microphone, and we're going to have time for just a few short questions. Oh, Mr. Martin has...
Thank you, Alan Martin here.
Yes,
Marcus Garvey Movement. So it was quite interesting to hear you say that Reggae Sumfest promoters are very much interested in the code of conduct concept for the protection of the music entertainment industry. This has been the gist of my paper that I presented here at this conference, and I'd like to find out from you what kind of modality, what kind of construct and organization would you be prepared to work with the Reggae Studies Unit with, and also other sister organic groups on campus here, and myself, to ensure that the quality of our music is revised overall and be allowed to develop in a more acceptable and pleasing manner, as it is one of the primary earner of foreign exchange for our country and an appealing product to the world. What kind of framework would your organization be prepared to put in place to ensure that this thing is protected?
The code of conduct, in terms of giving you some kind of modality and framework within which it operates, one would just be able to speak of a general framework which would address the issue of what I said earlier was the accepted norm now. So in terms of gender, gender not being in any way disrespectful of people by virtue of references to gender. In terms of profanity, well, that's against the law. In terms of anything that is against the law, of us not encouraging it. I won't call the name of the artist, but for years, there was a particular artist. There's a particular artist which never made the show because there was a particular clause that needed to be accepted. And that artist was in breach and would not accept. And so he never made the show for quite a little while. So beyond that, I don't know what else. The major sponsors nowadays, they have their own code, and we're fully behind them, and we'll help to advance it as the years go on, and certainly insofar as the university is concerned. If there's anything, Dr. Hope, that comes out of the university that might further help to advance it, we're perfectly happy to be part and parcel of a solution.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Christian Akane from Nigeria. It's very intriguing to be here to listen to this kind of lectures and experiences. But I am very apprehensive about the sustenance of this beautiful program. That is why I'm bothered to ask this question. One, what is the involvement of Jamaican government in sponsorship of this program? Because the first time I came here in 2008, it was very intriguing and the discussions were very stimulating because of the wide spread of speakers that came. But gradually, there seemed to be a waning of interest in terms of participation and discussion. Second, if you look at there are a few of us that are from the continent that are participating in this program. And apart from the cultural effusion and the artistic celebration of the musicians, it has a political content. This program also has an ideological content. What effort are you doing to involve those in the continent? For instance, it will not be a big deal to invite the Minister of Culture from Nigeria to come and listen to this. It will also not be a big deal to invite the African Union to come and listen to this kind of lecture, because it will form the background of what we are talking about, continental unity, which was the bedrock of Bob Marley's message, Africa must unite. And I also want to inform, in 1963, precisely May 23, when Organization of African Unity was launched, Kwame Nkrumah wrote a book, Africa Must Unite, and he distributed it to all the participants. The theme in that book is still what is haunting us today, continental unity and continental unity with diasporic unity. And there's no way we can achieve that without involving them in this kind of program. So the organizers, what plan do you have to achieve that? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief Akane. And I want to say that since the inception of the Reggae Conference, Chief Akani has been with us 2008, 2010, and now 2013. Thank you so much for being with us. And we do hear your call for incorporating more, we'll say, dialogue and more involvement with individuals from the continent. We will do our best for the next round of the conference. Our next International Reggae Conference will be in 2015 to see what we can achieve in terms of bringing speakers here. Of course, you know the resource constraints that we do face. This conference, I like to say, is a recession conference, which is why, for example, we're having 3 days of activity instead of the usual 5 or more. And so we have to work within those resource constraints. But of course, we take your suggestions and we understand the philosophy behind it. Hopefully for 2015, we can expand the reach of people that we invite specifically to the conference.
I'd like to know the thought process that goes behind packaging each night, for example, the mix of artists. Is there a particular thought process on International Night 1 and International Night 2? You get to see this artist plus this artist. On another night, you get to see different artists. Is there a thought process that goes behind it?
Not really, you know, because the dance all night has been strong, has been our strongest night from day one, and we have not attempted to reinvent the wheel. So dancehall speaks for itself. We observed a paradigm shift back in the 90s, and it has remained. I mean, I know that a lot of people are critical of the standard of the music, but the fact is that young people have bought into it. And if we are going to change their taste, then we need to take the music into the schools. We need to take the music into places where people are going to learn to play instruments, going to learn music, and maybe that will eventually change the taste. But we're not going to sit here and be able to change the taste, me and you talking. So as it stands right now, dancehall music is strong, and we are not about to change that night. The Friday and the Saturday is what it is, many times based on the availability of the artist. We will go to a Berry's Hammond and say, all right, we want you on Sumfest this year. He says, well, I'm flying out Saturday morning because I have a concert. Well, I know they go to like Reggae on the River sometimes and other festivals. So a lot of times the artists you see on the Friday, Saturday is based on their availability. And then we try to complement, of course, artists who we feel work well with each other. So we always used to try and put Buju Banton with Berry's Hammond because they work well with each other. They bounce off of each other very nicely, you know. Shaggy and Damian Marley work very well with each other, people like that. You know, you have a Sanchez, a Berry's, and a Luciano on one night. I mean, hey, you're talking business. So that is how we try to do it. But unfortunately, it's not always possible depending on their availability. Okay.
Yes, okay, well, I think it seems that we may have come to a, I wouldn't say a crashing end. We have come to a resounding end to the panel, and I want to thank the participants on the podium, those who worked to prepare the PowerPoint, the video that we saw, and of course those of us who are here sitting. I'm going to go right into our closing remarks. Of course, this has been 3 days of activity that feels more like a week because of the amount of different types of activity that we have been engaged in. I want you to join me in thanking the Reggae Sumfest panel for sharing with us, and also from our own perspective as the conference, thanking them for sponsoring us. Thank you so much, gentlemen. And of course, I want to use just this moment, closing remarks, to thank everyone who has worked so hard behind the scenes to pull this conference together. Those of us who work with events know that a conference takes quite a lot of planning. It's almost a year of work. And then we get into the business of the conference about 7 months before it actually gets off the ground. And we have been working steadily since last year to pull this conference together. I'm looking at members of my team. Sitting at the back, members of the conference committee, people like Jennifer White-Clark. I'm looking at Mr. Waugh. I'm looking at Avaloy Forbes, who runs the registration desk. She has done this for us 3 times, tirelessly and managing her team. I'm not sure I see Georgette McGlashan anywhere. My right hand, left hand, and the third hand I'm growing. Other members of the conference committee who I saw Dr. Dennis Howard, Dr. Christopher Charles, some who are absent, Dr. Lloyd Waller, Dr. Livingston White. I'm trying to not forget anyone. Kenrick Sharp, my assistant, again, he's somewhere around. They've been working very ably. Trojan Burrell has worked to ensure that our volunteers, student volunteers, are organized and putting down the work that they promised to do. All the student volunteers, a lot of my students in my department, as well as from different departments at the university, volunteer to work with us for the conference to ensure that the participants and the visitors to the conference are taken care of and that everything runs smoothly. They have worked very hard to ensure that what you see before you takes place effortlessly and that we all get the work done and present the Reggae Conference, the International Reggae Conference 2013, to the audience, not just here, but outside of this space. So we have people, we have the tweeters working. Sherry Perry and her team have been Facebooking and tweeting for the entire conference and providing individuals who are in cyberspace with some of the information that is happening here. Of course, the team from MITS, big up yourself. They have worked with us for all the conferences that we have put on, as well as many of the events. We are being streamed live on UETV. I saw one of my brethren from France, Jeremy Kruber-Dagnini, who was not here, but his book was relaunched last night, Facebooked me this morning and said he watched the whole thing live on UETV and he feels so good. People are watching us live all over the world, colleagues and friends who are not able to be here for various reasons, but are able to link with us on cyberspace. So big up the MITS crew, the UETV crew, who are always very efficient. And of course, you know that they work behind the scenes very tirelessly. Big them up, yes, big up yourselves. And of course, I want to thank the individuals on campus who have been working throughout with us from day one, different departments, the bursary, maintenance and stores, and other departments that have provided us with a lot of the different inputs that come together to make the conference what it is. The sponsors, and we really went out this year to try and get sponsors because, as I said, this is a recession conference, really a serious recession conference. We had to cut back on a lot of things because the university is in a recession, even while we are still mandated to provide intellectual activity and resources of the highest order. So this is a recession conference, and we went out. Our sponsors were quite receptive. I want to big up Grace and Wizinko through their water brand. I want to big up News Talk 93 FM, our radio station here, partnering with us on the outside broadcast. I want to big up, of course, Yao Restaurant. They are located here at the Students' Union, as well as in Sovereign. They partnered with us to ensure that our volunteers are adequately fed. And I want to big up Reggae Sumfest, who is sitting here with us on the podium, for also sponsoring us and partnering with us as a part of the conference. We have to big up our sponsors, because without our sponsors, we probably would not be able to put on the conference in the way that you see it. Of course, the Office of the Principal at the UWI Mona, Professor Gordon Shirley, who is not here, is away on official UWI business, also sponsored us quite heavily, as they have done since the inception of the conference. And the Dean of the Faculty of Humanities, Dr. Swithin Wilmot, also partnered with us, along with, of course, my department, the Institute of Caribbean Studies / Reggae Studies Unit. So we have been working really hard to pull this conference together. I want to big up my son, where somewhere here. He designed all the things that you see with Reggae Conference, everything, the programs, the booklets, the logos, everything that you see here. He has skills, so he works with us and has done so since the conference's inception. Designing everything that you see with the Reggae Conference, everything, all the programs and everything, of course, to a rather pressing schedule. Like, you'll get the things, tonight, and we want them tomorrow. That's the benefit of having a close relative doing these things, and you are not charged many short-term fees for such immediate jobs. Hot Off the Press worked with us very efficiently as well, allowing us to get our programs and such. Actually, opening late, I was there after 8 to pick them up on Tuesday before the Ash Wednesday break that would have been a part of this week. And so I want to big up Hot Off the Press for working with us and ensuring that we got all our printed material on time. and thanking everyone, all the participants who flew in from all over the world. Some of you are still here, really going through 3 days of activity that started at 10 o'clock on Thursday and ran straight through each day. We have been here up to 9 o'clock and after on many days. All our special speakers, wherever you are, big up yourselves, and all our participants who came in, flew in from all over the world, from the continent, from Europe, from all over the world, from the USA, from Canada, from the region, from the Caribbean. We are all here. Some of us are already on our way back to our, flights. A couple of my colleagues came, they were going back. One of my colleagues flying back to Germany had to leave to go to Montego Bay, but everyone came in. I want to pick up the Rotterdam Sunsplash crew for partnering with us and really filling out a lot of the conference. The exhibition is still up. Please go and take pictures on the exhibition before you go. Sabrina and the team worked very hard to ensure that we have these images of Rotterdam to show us what Jamaican music has become in the international imagination in Europe and what it becomes as others add their value to it and enrich the philosophy behind reggae music, which is what we are trying to do here at the International Reggae Conference. Big up all the media, my friends in the media, all my colleagues in the media, Rasbas and Mel Cook, big up yourself. You're always with us, making sure that we are adequately documented. And I do agree with China that one of your media people should go, for example, be invited to see what happens with Jamaican music outside of Jamaica, so that you can document that adequately in the way that you have been documenting it in the local imagination for us. And of course, at the end of it all, I want to say, remember that 2015 is 2 years away, and for those of us who plan events, it's very short. It's a very short time, and so we will be here for 2015. We look forward to the partnerships, we look forward to the collaborations, and of course, we look forward to the rich intellectual activity that is a part of the International Reggae Conference. All the discussions, the ones that are streamed live and the ones that were taped, will be archived on UWI TV in a very short period of time, within another month or so, and we also will have DVDs available of some of the presentations. And of course, there will be a publication coming out of this conference based on the responses that are made to the call for papers once we send them out. So I'm reminding my participants, those who are here and those who are not, that we will be asking for your submission so we can produce another piece of intellectual work that can enrich and add value to the research agenda of students and others who want to hear more about Jamaican culture and music, even if they are not able to attend the conferences. So please respond to the call for papers. Mrs. Whiteclock getting up and smiling. Remember, people, I used to host a radio program. I can talk for 4 hours nonstop. Trust me on this one, but I will not do that this evening. These are closing remarks, so I really want to thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank my artist as a history man on the back, informative history man, big up yourself. Mr. Kevin, yes, enough respect. And just thank everyone for sharing with us, and my family, who is always supportive of me in everything I do. Big up yourself. My husband is sitting in the front telling me to cut off, so I'm about to cut off now. And I wish all of you a really wonderful evening. Remember, there are many things that are happening in Kingston for this weekend, so if you are going to be with us for the weekend, the Dennis Brown concert is tomorrow night. The free Dennis Brown concert, a lot of us will be going to share in that activity. And you have Fiwi Sinting in Portland. You have, if you want to go and run up and down, if you're still fit, Sigma Pan Caribbean, if you are able to go. I won't. So you can continue to enjoy what Kingston, our creative city, has to offer. Thank you for being with us. I'm getting a real cut-off sign now. I think my neck is on the ground. So we are signing off from this season, this year's International Reggae Conference 2013. And really, I want to say enough blessings and enough respect, enough love from us at the University of the West Indies.
To the rim, and you never gonna let go. 'Cause in the last crusade, here we are, and we're never gonna stray too far. The first time the youth come a New York, them telling youth hustle skylark. Learn a trade or go to school. And don't you turn yourself in a fool. But now him gone. He never want go.
You say you love me, baby, when we shouldn't be together. But you just drive me crazy. And now that we are together, I give oh no, and I get away to the east. Oh no, oh, you call me on the oh yeah, and tell me you're not alone. No, 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 no. I know it's all hurt your heart again. When this I know. Yes, 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 yes. You call me, I'll be there as you. You give it all you got. Don't cry, 'cause it's over now. Don't sigh, 'cause I made it now. I will give you everything you need. You can go on, 'cause I'm all what's that chance? Wicked, wicked, the wicked time chance. What's that chance? Wicked, wicked, wicked. Then I realize you're seeing someone new.
I feel the weeping when I'm drowning in my tears. We can go swimming when you are here. I feel the rainbow after the tears are gone. Wrap you in my colors to keep you warm. I feel the ocean so deep and wide to catch all the tears that you cry. I feel the breeze after the storm is gone. Dry your eyes, love you more. That's how strong my love is.
Could it be my guardian angel? Come to carry me away. God knows that I've been waiting, and I've been praying for this day. I got to give myself away. Imagine I can't even pray.
False words are spoken with twisted tongue. The truth has mistaken. Lies are told to the young, from country to country, city to city. They try to do us harm, but they can't stop Judge's stand. Stand firm with your pride, with nothing to hide. Our aim, our destiny is to be free. Talk them a town, I run up them out. Babylon say you must change your route. Talk them a town, I run up them out.
Tease me, tease me, tease me, tease me, baby, till I lose control. Tease me with your love until I lose control. Take all my body and soul. Oh, girl.
Woman, your love is like burning fire on my soul. Woman, tease me till we lose control. Woman, your love is like burning fire on my soul. Woman, tease me till we lose control. Me ball tease me until the love me fancy. Right round the clock until we reach climax. And when we reach, come me with the love to stop. We up in the sky and we not turn back.
Jamaica move, sees the move, yeah. Move, baby, move. Shake, baby, shake like we live in a tree, baby. Put a bucket with my mommy, with my daddy. But I do it, baby, do it. So you can do it again, baby. Sit for like you never did.
I want a love I can feel. That's the only kind of love I think is real. Don't want to be going by something I heard. 'Cause baby, action speaks louder than words. Let me hear you say, yeah. I want a love that is mine. In the rain, it's always sun, sun, sunshine.